And welcome to the girls. Today's show, I have a very special friend of mine who's going to be joining us. And Jeannine, you know her since you're maybe about 4 years old.
Yes.
I know her for 35 years. She was born in Odessa, Texas, to Helen and Bull Rogers. She grew up and traveled the entire world. She's very well traveled and had met her wonderful sweetheart, married, and came to northeastern Pennsylvania where I met her. And we've remained friends. If you haven't guessed by now, most of the people in northeastern Pennsylvania have met this woman. Elaine Palance is our guest today.
Yes, she is.
And
Elaine Palance. The Elaine, we have to say her name like we say it. Elaine.
Elaine.
That Elaine girl.
She is the Yellow Rose of Texas, but she married Academy Award winner, actor Jack Palance.
Yep.
And her life was a whirlwind with Jack. So we got to do a lot of great things with Elaine. So before we get on to talk about all of those great things, we're going to introduce you to Elaine.
Oh,
Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so happy to
I
be
have
here.
so many things to say about you that I could have done the whole show as an introduction.
Well, then I wouldn't get to say anything.
I know. Well, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say a lot of things because a lot of people maybe have met you with Jack, and maybe a lot of friends that you've made throughout the world, and all of the people that you've lived with in California. You're bi-coastal, living in California, living in Pennsylvania. A lot of people in northeastern Pennsylvania want to know every time they see me, how's Elaine? And how is she now? And of course, they're referring to Jack Palance, of course, passed away in November of 2006. And so they want to know about Elaine Palance now. So what's Elaine doing since Jack passed? So
Well,
Elaine, tell us all about, a little bit about what brings you back to northeastern Pennsylvania, first of all.
Well, my good friends, actually, is the main reason that I'm here, is to visit with the LESANTEs and their extended brood. And I have to say, this time of year is just magnificent. It's magic. I went for a walk this afternoon, and I had to take pictures and send them back to my friends in Texas. It's just spectacular.
And
What a
walking
beautiful-
someone who knew you, just
yeah.
happened to stop.
Happened
and
to
say
run
hello.
into somebody. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was you chasing me in the car.
Usually. Trying to find out where in the world is Elaine.
Yeah.
So tell us what's keeping you so busy now. You had a big active life before with traveling the world, with Jack, with acting, and with all of the things that you did before. You had a full life before, of course, because you're always very creative. A lot of people may not know that you're an interior designer as well, and you're also very full of your own ideas and a lot of things that you're involved in. But what are you doing now since Jack?
Well, now that I'm living without Jack, I took about 4 years to sort of settle into figuring out what to do what I wanted to do when I grew up. So I have moved back to Texas, and I'm near my family again, and I have lots of wonderful girlfriends in Texas as well as in Pennsylvania. So sort of back to my roots. I am working in San Antonio with the University of Texas Cancer Center Council. We do an awful lot of good work there for patient assistance, but I'm doing a little interior design work. I am selling Jack's painting, some of Jack's paintings, not all, but I have a lot of paintings, so I can share them with the rest of the people in the world, because I can't hang them all.
We're going to talk a little more in detail about the paintings later, because we do have one here that he had given to Sam and myself for a gift, but we'll get back to that a little bit later.
And I will say that the main focus, other than work, is my horse. I have a beautiful Frisian gelding that I ride 4 times a week.
You're in love again.
I am in love again. I have a new boyfriend, and his name is Handsome. And he's solid black, and he's absolutely the love of my life
and
right
what
now.
kind of a horse is he? What's the breed?
He's a Frisian.
Frisian. And describe to people what kind of horse that is.
Frisians are from the northern part of the Netherlands in a little country called Friesland. They're all black. They have very, very long manes and tails and feathers on their feet. And back in the old days, they were used by the knights to go into battle because they were such big, strong horses, and they could kick backwards to help protect the flank. And then Queen Elizabeth uses Frisians to pull her fancy carriage because they're very prancy and very elegant.
And what do you use them for? You ride him a lot, and he's a prize-winning horse?
Well, yes, he is. And I ride him a lot on the trails with my girlfriends because, of course, we're in Texas, you know. And I'm also studying dressage. I don't show anymore, but just for myself, I have some lofty goals for myself with him that hopefully before the end of our days, I'll be able to do the really fancy piaffe and passage.
Well, I've seen some things you're doing, and you're pretty fancy to me. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Now, for anyone who's maybe 30 or younger that's watching the show and may not know who Jack Palance is,
yeah,
right? You may know Jack Palance from doing the one-handed push-ups, right?
That was on the Academy Awards when he won for City Slickers, right? And that was sort of a bomb went off on the rest of the world for no matter where we went, whether it was Denmark or Argentina, men fell at his feet to show him that they could do a one-arm push-up.
Kind of like what they did with T-Bow, right? The T-Bow.
Right.
Oh, yeah?
You know.
Well, we experienced that when we were with you and Jack, because you and my husband Sammy did a show called On the Road with Sammy and Elaine. And of course, Jack produced it and directed it and started it as well. And when we would, no matter where we went and where we traveled with you, people were flocking to Jack and showing him the one-arm push-ups.
That's right.
I couldn't believe it.
That's
It
right.
just really left a mark.
Yeah, so not only, you know, people know Jack for his great movies, but he's a phenomenal artist. He wrote poetry and books. We're going to talk about how you can possibly get one of his paintings coming up a little later on the show. But Jack was really an all-around down-to-earth guy, and the honor of knowing Jack personally, not only through the public eye, but personally. And he loved this area, which was phenomenal. He talked about that, how he loved Pennsylvania, and it was always his home.
Well, he was born in Latimer Mines, as you both know, and bought a farm down in Drums in the 60s, and of course this was his home. He would not get a California driver's license. He did not want to be a California resident. He was a Pennsylvania. We came back here to vote.
Right.
And I was a Pennsylvania resident. So, yeah, he was adamant about being a Pennsylvanian.
And not only were you a Pennsylvania resident, but you were one of the original girls when we taped the pilot for this show.
Oh, right.
Remember how much fun we had?
Very true.
And if we have any of that hidden video somewhere,
oh, God.
we may release it.
I don't know.
Please don't show it. That was years ago that we taped that.
We had so much fun doing that, though.
Well, we gave it a shot, yeah.
Many years later, we finally got it up and running and wanted to make sure that you were a part of it again. So, unfortunately, you're out on the West Coast, and now you're moving closer and closer to us, so we're going to have to go on the road and do the show with you.
I think we should do
the
girls go to Texas.
There you go.
There
I'm
we
for
go.
going to
Giddy
Texas.
up.
Yeah.
Well, Jack was his inspiration to see all the beauty here, and he loved some of his paintings dealt with trees and forestry. So we're going to talk about that when we come back, about Jack's many, many paintings and how Elaine Palance is going to use those paintings to remember Jack and his artistry and his work of art. So stay with us here. You're watching The Girls.
Today's episode of The Girls was taped in front of a live audience at Mia's. Once again, the Hazleton area's #1 rated restaurant. Since 2008, Mia's has been the area's top destination for fabulous food, full-service bar, and all types of luncheon and dinner party needs. Call Mia's at 570-501-3410. And remember, tonight, make it Mia's.
And welcome back to The Girls. If you just joined us, our special guest this week, a very close friend of mine, Elaine Palance. She is here visiting us and sharing with us all of the things that she's been doing since Jack, life since Jack. And of course, I'm referring to actor, Academy Award winner actor, Jack Palance. We're looking here on the set, Elaine. Not only do we have some creations that you have, but we have a gorgeous painting that Jack had given as a gift to my husband Sammy and to me one year for Christmas. And he had painted it. You mentioned the farm before that he lived at. in drums. And this painting, the reflection into the pond, was there
This
from the farm.
painting is from, there was a little guest house down the little path, and we called it the Two Ponds Farm. And this is his artistic idea of that little guest house. And yes, he painted that one exactly, especially for you.
For Sam and for me, and we have it hanging in our home. We love it. We had the great fortune of having Jack in our home many times along with you, and he wrote a special poem on the back as well, which he did with a lot of his artwork.
He does do that on a lot of his paintings. In fact, there's one, just as an example, there's a painting of a rooster, and it's called He Wears the Pants. Well, now, if you saw that title and the painting of the rooster, you wouldn't get the idea. But if you read the back, it's about a rooster who's kind of not feeling that well, and the hens are being a little indifferent to him, and he finally stands up and takes control of the barnyard because he wears the pants. So Jack's sense of humor is present in so many of his paintings. And having a poem or just his comments on the back of the originals, I think is so special.
That's what makes them. So everyone wants to know about these paintings. You were here a couple of years ago and did the unveiling of the paintings at an exhibit that you had here.
We did a fundraiser for Penn State. That was the first time I ever had shown any of Jack's paintings. When Jack was alive, he did not want to sell his paintings because they were like his little babies. And we did sell some paintings in 1989 in Beverly Hills, and he said, "I just can't do that. I can't let them go like that." In fact, he tried to buy some of them back, which was a little ridiculous. But so about 4 years after I lost Jack, I started going through the paintings again, and I was really just overwhelmed with how incredibly talented he was, because I saw them day after day, and but to just see this body of work was something that I felt
You had to share it with the world, right?
Yes, I wanted to share it with the world because I know he's not going to be upset with me for selling some.
Well, you
because
know what? We've adopted them.
Yes, you've adopted them. Okay,
So they're his
that's
babies,
perfect.
and we've adopted them.
Yes.
But the great thing about it was the broad spectrum of mediums that he used, and the different styles that he used, and the different types of paintings. He would go everywhere from a Picasso style-ish all the way down to realism, abstracts, and everything, no matter what anyone could want. It was such an array of talent there, and his mind and thought process was amazing.
His mood that day or that week, because a lot of his stuff is very funny. The fishing turtle, or the moon is a balloon. They're all very, very whimsical and unique.
Well, we have a few pieces where he was just doodling on a cocktail napkin or on a menu.
Yeah, we did.
And then his sketchbook, where he would go through and start an idea, and then, of course, he would transfer that onto the canvas as well. And to see him sit there and just mix all the different colors and the imagination. And the greatest, I think, piece that you showcased at the Penn State was the Forest of Love. And of course, the Forest of Love has to do with the front cover of the book as well, is that not right?
Correct.
Okay, so we have the poem then. So we have Jack Palance, the artist, and then Jack Palance, the poet. He
was very literary. He wrote every day in his journal, and I have a lot of collected stories, one-act plays, poems that very romantical.
And he was just surrounded by the arts, and he really enjoyed it. And he was such a very talented person to share that with everyone else. And as an actor, well, I don't have to say much more about that. Everyone remembers Dracula. He scared the heck out of Ustanovsky kids at the
Well,
house.
I thought it would be funny if he put those teeth on and came
my
out.
gosh.
Oh, it scared them so badly that one of their little friends wouldn't come back to my house until she was about 16.
Well, that's another thing. You always had children over the house. I remember swinging at the pole and always being around all those children, and Jack, you know,
And
being
ice skating
funny.
at night with the lights turned on from the cars. That was the most fun. That was fabulous.
Well, you have two sisters. You're the oldest of the three girls, but
Yes,
you also
I am.
have a sister who's married and has a son, Elliot, and
I do.
a very,
I do.
very successful nephew of yours. So you have a big family. You're very family oriented, and I don't know how you juggle everything. You travel so much, and you do all of your charity work, and you're involved with everything, and you're just so bubbly. Everybody just enjoys being with Elaine.
Well, I'll tell you, at this point, I'm very, very blessed because my sister is fortunate enough, easy for me to say, is fortunate enough to be able to go with me and I with her. So.
And I do remember, if I recall, meeting Elliot when I was a little younger. We were in California, and we went on a hot air balloon ride.
Yes, you did.
And it was early in the morning.
It was on July the 4th.
July 4th, we woke up early in the morning.
Did your brother go?
I think the girls just went.
Oh, okay. But Elliot went. He wasn't going to pass that up.
So
that was a blessing. And remember,
and he's like 27. How old is he now?
He's 25.
25 now.
But our balloon got off course, if you'll remember, and we landed in somebody's yard at 6 a.m.
I do remember that.
They came running out in their pajamas.
I hope we have a picture of this. So we have a lot of memories of Jack, and I'm hoping that everyone at home who knew of Jack Palance from the Pennsylvania area and California area, and those who didn't know him, you know, you're getting a little synopsis of who Jack Palance was. But Elaine Palance now, after Jack, she has a lot going on herself, including a line of jewelry that is for sale, and we'll talk about that next, coming up on The Girls.
Today's episode of The Girls was taped in front of a live audience at Mia's. Once again, the Hazleton area's #1 rated restaurant. Since 2008, Mia's has been the area's top destination for fabulous food, full-service bar, and all types of luncheon and dinner party needs. Call Mia's at 570-501-3410. And remember, tonight, make it Mia's.
And welcome back. You're watching The Girls here on SSP TV. We're with Elaine Palance, and we are talking about what you're up to and what remembering Jack Palance and all of his wonderful paintings and artistry, and his paintings are for sale, and we want everyone to know about that because there are a lot of people out there who would like a piece of Jack's artwork. So you have the originals, but if you do not want to buy the originals, you also have other copies that they can buy.
We have giclées that are very, very high quality digital copies onto canvas.
Okay.
And they're just absolutely fabulous.
And I must tell you that I took the Forest of Love that you had given me, and I took it to have it framed, and the trained framing expert at the store thought that it was an original because it actually looked like the oils were.
They did a
fabulous job on it, and they're a fraction of the cost of the original. So if you can afford to buy the original, wonderful, because you're able to part with some of them, but if not, the giclées are absolutely, and they're signed and numbered.
They are signed and numbered, and I can always write a special little dedication on the back. I love to do that.
That's the best part. If you get a little note.
Part of the
That's very personal
purchase.
to the artistry. Also, when they buy the copies, do they get, if Jack had maybe put a message or a poem on the back? Is that
absolutely.
included? Okay.
I give them a copy of the back of the original painting, plus a written out. Jack should have been a doctor because you can't read his writing, but I have translated the poems, and you can.
You have a website.
I do have a website. It's jackpalanceart.com, and all my information is on there. They can call me directly if they want to ask any questions or tell me a story or.
And you ship these, the giclées especially, or the fine art, the originals, anywhere in the world?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and you said about the poems in the back. The originals that are framed, of course, have that exposed in the back so you can read it. But isn't there also a signed on the side as well for them, so that they could see it on the? You have a
we just framed the
poems.
Poems.
Okay.
But he's signed all over the backs.
Okay.
So.
Well, now I'm very excited because you are doing some funky jewelry of your own with all the traveling that you've done and your sister have done. We have just a sampling of what you brought to Pennsylvania. How'd you get involved with this?
Well, in 1982, Jack and I were in Asia for quite a while, and I bought a lot of jade, a lot of pearls, a lot of gemstones and brought them home and kind of played with them here and there. And long story, blah, 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 I started making my own jewelry, and everybody wanted to know, oh my gosh, where'd you get that piece? Where'd you get this? So I made a lot of gifts for people and gave them away, but it got a little bit expensive. And so my sister said, why don't we make the jewelry, since we both travel and collect all these things from, she just got back from Turkey, so we have a lot of wonderful things from Turkey, but we started making them, and we've been doing shows here and there in private homes.
Well, these are all originals. No,
they are originals. They're all one of a kind.
Talk about the piece that you have on, because there are some that are interchangeable and that
right.
come apart.
This piece is, they're, I don't want to mess up my microphone, but they're the Baroque pearls.
Okay.
Very, very large Baroque pearls, because I like big and chunky too. And I have on 3 strands, but the clasp is made so that you can wear 1, 2, or 3. And many of these are doubles or singles as you wish.
Okay, and there's a piece here you have that it's a 2-piece and it comes apart that you were showing, the turquoise and the pearls. And there's a story behind all of your jewelry.
I'm so sorry, Jack.
There you go.
You mean this one with the jade? I brought this piece of jade back in 1982, and with plus the beads, and so I made this. You can wear it. I like to wear it double, but you can wear it single as well.
Cold.
Oh, I know, it's
beautiful.
Very, very.
So you have necklaces, you have earrings, you have bracelets, but the big thing right now, of course, is the crosses. You have a lot of crosses,
I do have a lot of
and
crosses.
they're done in a lot of different gems and styles and stones.
A lot of jade, a lot of coral, a lot of turquoise.
Genuine. These are copies.
A lot of turquoise. And like this is a petrified shark's tooth.
Petrified.
And
I don't know if I want anything petrified on
me,
my neck.
but look at the size of this too.
Wow. But it's just a signature piece.
Well, these are pieces that every time I wear it, somebody wants to buy it. So luckily for them, I have a couple more at home.
There you go.
Yeah.
So again, what inspired you to do this was your traveling and your connection with family and living so close now to your sister.
Well, that, and plus I was going into jewelry stores and seeing things that I absolutely loved, and they were way too expensive.
Right.
Well, how expensive are these? What kind of price
they
range?
start at around 180 and go up depending on the gemstones and how much sterling silver is in them. And some of them are not sterling. They're a different kind of metal that doesn't tarnish. And we mix it just with some real interesting beads, probably some
with being your girlfriend and all, I know that what you're charging for these, you're just about getting the material cost back into it, because this is a real labor of love for you, and I know that you enjoy it, and if you could, you would give one to everyone. But it's really hard for you difficult for you to part with some of these because of the different places that you've traveled.
Well, I do remember
all of these places. That,
I do remember.
There's a story with each and every piece, which is wonderful.
And speaking of stories, we have about a minute left of the show, and just for you, Elaine, to have this opportunity with Jack not being with us, how would you, want everyone to remember the life of Jack Palance?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I could do that in a minute. He had a great sense of humor. He was so wise. He was someone who thought before he spoke. When he spoke, it was something important. He was kind and sensitive. He loved children, loved animals. I mean, we raised so many little critters in the front hall of the ranch that it was a little ridiculous.
And his nickname, Pocky, with his grandchildren.
Oh, yes. I have 3 fabulous grandchildren because of Jack, and Lily, Spencer, and Tarquin. 2 stepdaughters, Holly and Brooke, and that helps fill my life. It was a wonderful legacy for me.
Jack was also very down to earth. You wouldn't know that he was a famous celebrity if you met him.
He couldn't believe when people would fuss over him. Tell the stories.
Well, he did all the grocery shopping, so he'd go to the grocery store, and it would take him a while because he had to work his way through the people in the aisles. But yeah, he took out the trash like every other husband.
There you go.
Well, we're going to continue talking here with Elaine. Her visit is not over with us, but that's it for the girls today. We could go on and on and on. Please visit the websites. If you have any questions, please contact Elaine. You can also watch us again and again and again on ssptv.com. And just let us know what your thoughts are if you have any questions. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on The Girls.